Ed, and Eddy, The Joyride. Written by ERICSHANRICK. Ed, and Eddy is a show I go way back with. I watched it all the time back when it aired and loved its over-the-top slapstick comedy. One day, my friend Jeff and I were re-watching one of the old episodes when he brought out a DVD case. It was completely black except for the cartoon logo scribbled on the front. It looked like a hand-drawn sketch of the Ed, and Eddy one. I asked him what it was and he told me it was a lost episode for the show. This made me pause since it was common knowledge that lost episodes weren't just something you could get on DVD. They were either incomplete material that never aired or kept under lock and key by the producers. Jeff assured me that his copy was the real thing. He apparently got it from this comic shop called Marquee Noir. This immediately set off red flags for me. Marquee Noir was known here in Toronto as a shop of wonders for archivists. It had the most obscure and rare media ever known, some of which dates back several decades. I read blogs about people's experiences with the shop, and most of them ended in ruin. They all talked about how the shop was cursed, and how they almost died because of the things they saw. I wasn't sure if I believed all that, but it was clear that place was bad news. I tried telling this to Jeff, but he wouldn't listen. He was adamant that we had to watch this disc since we were both big fans of the show. As sketchy as the whole thing was, I had to admit that I was still interested in what the disc held. We went to my living room so I could watch it on my big screen. The lights were turned off, and a bowl of popcorn was prepared to set the mood. Fear and excitement were coursing through my body. All those urban legends about Marquee Noir were chilling, but the possibility of having an actual lost episode in my grasp was too amazing to ignore. Jeff inserted the disc into the DVD player, and we watched the screen come to life. The intro played like normal except for a few weird static glitches that appeared every now and then. The episode title card would later pop up, showing a cartoon sketch of a destroyed car with the words, "Highway to Ed," hovering over it. The episode began with a scene of Eddy trying to break into a car. Double D was frantically telling him to stop, while Ed just watched on with a wide grin. Eddy eventually broke into the car by using a screwdriver and dived inside. Not wanting to leave Eddy to his own devices, Double D joined him inside the car, and so did Ed. I was wondering how someone as short as Eddy was supposed to drive a car when the next scene answered my question. Eddy glued some phone books to his feet and sat on a crate he pulled from thin air. The absurdity of it got a good laugh from my friend and I. Eddy sped off in the red car, despite Double D's protests. Eddy went joyriding all over the cul-de-sac. His control of the car was obviously sloppy, and he was constantly on the verge of running into someone's property. Double D was desperately pleading for Eddy to stop, but he didn't care. He wanted to show off his latest heist, regardless of who or what was in his way. The scene then cut to Kevin, who was doing bike tricks in front of all the other kids. They all cheered Kevin on as he performed stunt after stunt. Naz walked up to Kevin to comment on how cool his new bike was. This made Kevin blush a bit, but he played it cool and acted like it was no big deal. "Watch out!" I heard Sarah yell before the scene switched to Eddy's car quickly approaching the group. Kevin tried running out of there, like everyone else, but the wheels on his bike jammed up and froze him in place. I was fully expecting the show's usual slapstick shenanigans to happen at this point. Maybe Kevin would have been flattened like a pancake or be sent flying through the air until he was only a twinkle in the sky. What I got instead was something far more grim. A loud glitch effect briefly flashed on the screen, before switching to the direct aftermath of the crash. Kevin's body was a horribly mangled mess of his former self, his legs twisted in unnatural angles while blood pooled beneath him. The screen cut to the kid's face scrunched up in pure terror. Blood-curdling screams flared from the speakers, rattling me to the bone. Eddy continued driving his car while the mournful screams of the children roared in the background. The Ed trio were all nervous wrecks at this point. Ed was sobbing while Double D went on a long tirade about how Eddy was now a vicious criminal. This only infuriated Eddy and made him tell them to shut the hell up. His fearful eyes darted around while still driving at high speeds. Sweat beaded profusely from his head, and his heart was literally beating against his chest. Blood trickled from the hood of the car as Eddy drove into the highway. Police sirens flared vividly through the speakers, but there were no cops on screen. Eddy accelerated the car at even higher speeds, despite his friends begging him to stop with tears in their eyes. He was completely taken over by paranoia and anxiety. The car raced across the asphalt like a speeding bullet. Eddy's recklessness eventually caught up with him. His car went spiraling out of control until it crashed into the guardrail. All became silent. No music, no sound effects. The screen only showed an image of the wrecked car with a reddened windshield. The car remained motionless for several seconds, until the screen slowly faded to black. We didn't say anything for a while, even after the episode ended. I struggled to process just what the hell we just saw. I at first thought it was some fan animation, but the fluidity of the animation and perfect replication of the show's art style and sound design was something only a pro could pull off. Would Danny Antonucci or his employees really create an episode so morbid? I tried putting the experience behind me and going on about my life, but images of that episode kept playing in my head. One morning, before going out on a jog, a news report caught my eye. A group of 3 teens were found dead in a horrific crash after stealing a car from their neighborhood. There's been a weird uptick of teens stealing cars lately, so it was probably just a coincidence. But I still can't help but feel that it's somehow connected.